Hey guys, it's Becky from powertoolswiththread.com. That's my blog. As promised, I am making the how I do my machine binding video. I'm going to make a bunch of clips, see if I can't get them together in my new video editing software, and then we'll see if we can make this work. So, you're getting a different angle of my sewing room today. You can tell this is a fence. Oh, Joy doesn't like it when I put lights on me. Move my head right there. How's that? Anyway, so I'm going to do a couple of different spots of this. I don't have a GoPro. I don't have any of that fancy stuff, but this is just how I do it with, you know, how I'm going to make it work with the video thing on my phone. So I am using, let me turn this so you can see my machine. And I'm going to drop this down a little bit. So I'm using, this is my brother, PQ 1500 SL. It is identical to the Baby Lock Jane. Let me get my chin out of here. So to make the binding strips, I used my handy dandy little quilt calculator to figure out I needed 6 strips. My quilt is 51 by 58. And you put your strips, my strips are 2.5 inches wide. That's the size I like to do bindings with. Some people like them more narrow. I like the 2.5 inch width on this for machine binding because you need a little extra width in the back, even though it looks pretty narrow from the front. So you put your strips right sides together. When the strip doesn't have a back, I use the fold line from the fabric. I don't know if you can see that fold line there. So obviously that's the front, and I lay the front. I've already sewed 5 of them together. So there's the front. Now, I don't think you can see it, but I have, as soon as I got this machine, I defaced it by scratching in on the 1/4 inch line. I scratched in, I extended that all the way out to the edge of the table. I do that, I'll do it with a knife or I'll do it with a Sharpie or something because I need that gauge all the way out here. I wish they would do that. I wish the manufacturer would put this all the way out here, but they don't. So, because I use that as a way to gauge where my sew line is. So right sides together, and I put them at a 90-degree angle like this, standard way, turn it like that, and put it right under in the V, and then I can see my scrape line, and I'm about a 1/4 inch off of that, and I just go through there. And I eyeball it. You can mark it, of course. I've been doing this a while. All right, now I'm all done. Now, I only have a couple of these since I've only got 6 strips. So let me get my trash can here. I'm just going to cut approximately a 1/4 inch away on these so that it looks like that. Can you see that? I'm using thread that is the same color as the strip itself, and I will use that same color thread when I sew on the binding. Okay, let me trim these apart. Okay, so pause till the next step while I do this. Okay, I'm back. So the next thing I do is I want to iron this out. You want these creases gone where the fold line was in the fabric, and you want to iron it in half lengthwise. So I just fold this in half. I use steam and just get this folded in half. It's pretty simple. You want to press out your seam lines where they sew together. And then I do a little trick here. My ironing board has, I don't know if you can see, it's got little slots there, okay? And as I pull this down, I drop it in there. And then down on the floor, there's a trash can that's empty, obviously. And I just put this right under here. And then as I iron it, you can do this off the end of your ironing board. It'll just go in there and it'll be nice and clean. And it won't get dirt or lint or fur or anything else like that on the binding. So that's what I do. So I'm going to continue to iron this all the way down until I get to the end of it. Okay. And I have, this iron is a Sapporo. I I think it's a 527 or 327, I can't tell, model, and it is a gravity-fed iron. And I'll show you guys. I have it connected to a power strip up here. That's where the water bottle is. I have it hanging over a, can you see? I hope it's not blurry. It's hanging over a horseshoe up there, okay? And I have a light on, and the power strip, I only turn on the iron using the power strip, okay? And the light is also always on in the power strip. So if the light is on, the iron is on, because it does not have an auto off. So I highly recommend, if you guys are going to get a gravity-fed iron, that this, you know, any of these Sapporo gravity-fed irons, they don't have an auto off. And I'll tell you what, I leave it on hours and hours and hours all day long. And more than once I've come in the evening to shut my sewing room down, and there's that light, it's on, so I know that my my iron is still hot and it needs to be turned off. We'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, so now what I have done is I have turned my ironing board into a platform to hold the weight of the quilt. That's really important when you're doing binding. One of the most frustrating things, put this up a little bit so you can see me. One of the most frustrating things that I have had happen when I do quilts is, you know, that the weight of the quilt, it pulls off, and if at all possible, you want to have something going on. What I got going on in my hair? You want to have something behind your machine to catch it so it doesn't tug off the table, and then something on the side to be able to hold it, okay, hold the weight of the quilt. So now I'm going to take my little trash can here. There's my end. And I normally start, I leave a tail of about, I don't know, 10, 12 inches, something like that. And I raw edge of the, you're going to use the raw edge right here. See, here's, let me open this up. So there's the fold, okay? You want the folded edge toward the middle of the quilt. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. We're going to need that later on. And I start on the side of the quilt somewhere, okay? And I'm going to put, I only use 2 pins the whole time I do this. 2 pins, that's it. So I'm going to put a pin in here where I start, and I'm going to put another, now from, so I've got that pinned. Can you guys see I've got that pinned right there with a tail, okay? I'm going to, there's a little measuring thing here on this. It just makes it handy. I'm going to measure out 12 inches right there. And I'm going to leave a 12-inch. That's where I'm going to stop when I get all the way around, okay? So from where I'm pinned to here is 12 inches. This is where I'm going to start sewing, and this is where I'm going to stop sewing, and I've got a tail in the middle, okay? Here we go. I sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, just as if I was piecing. Okay, I'm going to move this in here so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put it down. Man, you know, it'd be nice if I had a helper. Let me put that where you can see what I'm doing. All right, pull my chair up. I can't wait for my new sewing furniture so I can do this. So, lift this up and get started at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm kind of sitting to the side, but I'm a professional. I can handle this. Now, one of the things I do, I learned this trick from Janet Prey from Islander Sewing Systems. This is where I mix my mad seamstress skills and my quilting skills at the same time. In industry, when they sew garments, they don't use pins. Rarely. I'm not talking couture sewing. I'm talking all the stuff you get at Walmart or anywhere that's big box. They don't use pins in industry when they make, they rarely, I will put it this way, they rarely use pins. It's not efficient and they don't have time. So the way that you hold fabric together is you put your thumb under and your fingers on top and turn like this. And that prevents this piece, it prevents the bottom from being pulled through the feed dogs faster. And then this top won't ripple. This piece right here won't ripple. So again, it's thumb under, fingers on top, and fold like this and hold it taut. You also hold it taut from the back. Not super tight, but enough that this piece on the binding piece is not going to bubble. So let me do, I'm sorry my arm is in the way. I wonder if I could move this camera over to the other side. Let me see, hold on. There, that looks like that's gonna work a little better for you guys to see. So thumb under, fingers on top. I'm gonna hold it just taut in the back, and I'm gonna sew 1/4 inch. Seam allowance. I'm gonna pull out that pin and back up. Why doesn't that sound right? Something's not right. I wonder if that's stitching. Nope, it's not. I knew it. My needle is not threaded. Is it? Is it threaded? Nope. The downside of this machine, I love this machine for piecing. The downside of this machine is that the tail that it cuts is super short. And Jenny uses this machine at Missouri Star, and I've even seen her rethread a couple of times when she's in the middle of sewing something. But it happens. It just comes, and I'm told that you can get it, you can take it in, and when you have it serviced, and you can make that, have the technician make it cut the tail just a hair longer, which would be helpful. So see how the binding is not rippling? Because when you hold the fabric like that with your thumb under, fingers on top, it won't bubble up. So I'm just making sure that it's right on the edge, thumb under, fingers on top, and I flip it over like this and just guide it from the back. I am looking at this 1/4 inch line on my plate. There's also a 1/4 inch line that goes horizontally here, and that's where I'm going to stop when the edge of my quilt touches that 1/4 inch horizontal line. That's where I'm going to stop on this edge. See? No pins, no clips. Oop, right there. Back up and cut it. Okay. So now to turn the corner, you lay this out. You want to pull out the binding strip so that it is the same straight edge. You keep your straight edge. Can you see that? Okay. I just put my fingers here, fold it back over the top of my fingers, press it down, and put it like that, and make sure that everything's nice and straight. And then I'll put it in here, and I start it just, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch away, and I go backwards first and then go forward again. And now I can rotate the quilt. I'm using the ironing board to rotate the quilt, and I'm gonna start again. And I only do a stretch of maybe 7 to 8 inches at a time. That's the best way to do this. That works for me. So all right, I'll see you guys back here when I'm done. Hey guys, okay, so I'm coming up on that pin that's going to tell me, would you focus? No focus? There. Here's that pin where I was going to stop at. Let me get up here. And it doesn't have to be exactly 12 inches. You just want enough room to work with. Okay, so now I have a 12-inch gap. Okay. There are little binding tools out there you can buy. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm going to use my presser foot as an extra hand here. I'm going to set that down to hold that. Okay, so here's the tail. Let me turn this so you can see what I'm doing, okay? Here's the tail, and see, I use this, I actually use these little measuring things here. This is the tail I started with, all right? I'm just going to lay it out flat. I'm going to trim off. I've got a selvage. Whoops. I think my scissors are magnetic. I got magnets all over it. It wouldn't kill me. Be surprising. That's not totally straight. This is not a big deal here, you guys, to do that. Okay. So here's the tail I started with, and here's my last piece I'm ending with. Exactly 6 strips. However wide your binding is to start with, and this was 2.5-inch strip, you overlap the ends by that much. So I'm putting the end of this binding strip, I'm putting it on the 10-inch mark. So I need to overlap it by 2.5 inches. 1, 2.5. It's nerve-wracking, but it's this simple. Let me make sure I got that right. You don't want it to be too short. 1, 2.5. 2.5 inches I'm going to cut. Okay, that's it. Now, take it and I'm going to flip it toward me. Instead of flipping it away from me, I'm going to flip it toward me. And one way you can tell that you're getting it right is to use a pin to make a sew line. All right, so I'm going to do that. Let me do a pin, and I'm just going to go in and out. Look, I know where the sew line is because I've got my old stitches where I screwed up. What happened to my pen? Oh, fiddle. I got to get another one. Okay. Let me do this. I'll tell you, sometimes I do this 3-4 times till I get it right. I've only done it right once. The first time. Let's see. Aha. Is that right? I think that's right. It's right. Okay. So now, I'm going to take this pin, put it here, and this pin, and put it here, and stitch it. Let me do that again for you guys so you can see. Okay? Because I need to get this right myself. And I need to get smart on doing it right the first time, every time. You lay this tail you started with out flat. You take this one that you ended with and you turn it toward you, one turn, and put them right sides together. That is the right way. I'm glad I showed you. So I can do this right. Alrighty. Let me stitch this. If you watch videos by Jordan Fabrics, I have seen her do this method as well. Let's see. Before you cut, you pull it flat to make sure you got it right. And yep, it's right. Perfect. And see, it fits perfectly too. Can you see that? So let me trim this by hand. Always check before you cut. And there. I'm going to start back where I stopped before and finish up. I'm going to finger press this one way or the other. If you get a little crease in there, don't dye over it. When you fold it over, you won't even see it. It's not there. Got a little basting stitch I got to pull out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is iron this out as flat as I can and make sure to get a good ironed, mitered corner in here. I'm going to iron it out on the top. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, we're down to the last step. Now, I sew from the front in the ditch. It's that simple. I will take this, it has been ironed flat, look how nice and flat that is, and then I ironed up into the corner to make a real nice, it's kind of dark, but make a real nice miter. Can you see that? Okay, so I just fold this over. Now, when I first started doing this, I would take steam-a-seam and literally the whole quilt, I would do steam-a-seam back here and glue it first. It made life easier. But I've been doing this so long, I don't do that now. I make sure all of these little threads that are in the back here that are a mess, that they're covered up, okay? And you can see the blue line, the blue thread where I sewed it on. I just want to make sure this is past that, okay? And if your seam is straight, everything ought to turn out pretty good. See, so it's got a narrow binding on the front, but it's a little bit wider on the back. I'm okay with that. That's what I want, all right? So, if you have a regular machine, I highly recommend using a regular sewing machine. Use the blind hem foot. It's got that little flange that sticks out. I will, that helps a lot. I will link a blog post that I did on how to do that with that foot in the comments here. So, or not the comments, in the description box on the YouTube video. So now, you don't go fast, you go slow, and you stitch in the ditch. And you can't see this because let me get in here so you can see. Maybe you can see what I'm doing. I can't zoom with this, but it's way down in there. I can see just a little bit of the blue on the inside of that toe, and then my needle is right down in this ditch, right in the ditch, right there, okay? So, you go slow. Like, I had a 9th grade home ec teacher, and she used to say, "Go slow, ladies, this ain't NASCAR." I love that. This is about the speed I go. Y'all, I can quilt. I can finish a machine quilt in about an hour. Now, when I get near the corner, like I have here, I get near the corner, I take my 2 pins again, I do a miter, and I just put a pin in my mouth, and you safety nannies, don't worry about it. I've been doing it for decades. I'm good. I'm going to pull this over here and make sure my stitching is covered, that it has a nice, pretty mitered point right there. And I come in from this side and pin it. And I come in from this side and pin it. I imagine you don't have to do it on both sides, but I do, to make sure that that point holds exactly where I want it to. And then I just come through here. Once you get to doing these, I'm going to go ahead and stop after the corner so you can see what it looks like. It helps to be able to get down in there and see what it is that you're doing. I'm going to slow down now when I get here, because I want to stitch directly into that corner and stop and pull out that pin, raise the presser foot. I'm going to pull this over and turn it, needle down so it doesn't go anywhere. And then I'm going to stitch slow, just a couple stitches, pull out those that last pin, tuck this over, and keep going. Isn't this exciting? Okay, I'm going to stop right here so you guys can see how it came out. So here's the front. Can you see the front? You don't see that stitching at all. It's totally in the ditch. Okay, I'm going to put some more light. Does that help? You cannot see, sorry guys, you can't see that stitching at all. Okay, and the back, here it is. That's what it looks like on the back. It's got a perfect little miter, okay, and about 1/8 of an inch. You know, and sometimes it gets a little more over here because of the fold. I don't care about that. This is a utility quilt. This is not for show. I would not do this for a show quilt. Y'all don't. Not at all. But, so, this video is way long. The longest video I've ever made. So, I'm going to take my glasses off so I don't look, you know. Anyway, that's how I do my machine binding. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it's helpful for you. And happy stitching. Bye.